go into, we tell the people, lock the door, leave the place. It isn't even worth it for an exorcist to go in there.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the Warren Files without Heather again. we really miss Heather. We wish she would come back and do this.
She's busy writing books.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. She's got a lot of books coming out, a lot of contracts, a lot of written books already, and a lot coming out. So, what's her page? Do you know, Philip? Exploring the Paranormal, I think.
Exploration Paranormal.
Yeah. So everybody go there and check that out if you'd like to check her books out. And that was our commercial for the evening. So so tonight's topic is, it was supposed to be don't spend your money on tech, but I think it's going to be more turned into what the tech does and what it's about, because we tried to tell Bill a long time ago to not spend money on tech, and he just totally ignored it, and he bought 3 tables worth.
Exactly.
It sounds like Tammy, who's joining us too, is a big techie as well. Philip, do you follow that category, or are you more of the don't spend your money?
If it lights up, blings, beeps, squawks, I want it.
Exactly.
And Nate, I think, just needs to buy a new camera, it looks like. Nate, you turn sideways all of a sudden. So no, Nate is actually he's like a little paranormal mad scientist. He is he invents all kinds of cool stuff. You know, he's shown me stuff. You with us, Nate?
He's defying gravity right now.
I see you, but I can't. Yeah, we'll get him in here. So, okay, so I'm going to start out. I'm going to ask the first question, and I'll tell you why I'm going to ask it. So a lot of the gear that we buy is based on the principle that EMF equals ghost. Is there any science behind that?
Well, I don't know about any science behind it. I mean, in my experiences of all these years doing this, I never really used an EMF to go and be like, oh, here's a ghost. It was more doing base readings around the homes and stuff to see if there's any massive spikes. I did a case in New Jersey where the people were seeing ghosts and having headaches and getting nauseous in the living room. And we found out there was a massive amount of EMF in their basement. They got an electrician, they came in and rewired everything and fixed everything, and it stopped because EMF can cause hallucinations and headaches and nausea. So it's more like that, but we do use it sometimes, like out for an abandoned place or something like that. You could use it more as like ask a question and see if they manipulate it to answer, but not so much like, oh, I have a spike over here, so there's got to be something here.
And nothing that we have is going to say there's a ghost here, because we can't prove what a ghost is.
Right.
Our equipment is trying to, we want communication, an intelligent interaction. That's what basically all our equipment we're using it for, is to get that interaction. Yep. That, like Bill said, that high EMF. We had a client Saturday night. We're doing our baseline readings. I go into her bedroom. I see this old-timey giant alarm clock next to her bed. I'm like, oh, geez. the EMF meters they flipped, they couldn't go any higher.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I just videoed that little bit. So when she came back, I said, you've got to get this away from next to your pillow. I said, this is cancer in a box, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a similar thing where early on in our team, we had a case and it was an apartment complex. And upon arriving at the complex, the first thing I noticed was right outside their wall, they were at the end of the complex, was the electric panel for the whole building.
Yeah.
And, they had, where are you having activity? Well, it's in here along this wall primarily, but we feel it here and we feel it there. And you could go over and the EMF was off the charts through the wall. And of course that affects everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a similar case as well where this girl, she was seeing all kinds of demonic, nasty, gnarly, just stuff. But where she laid her head, right below her was the service panel for the house.
Yeah.
And at her pillow, it was reading like 30 milligauss or something like that. Like it was insanely high. It's like the first thing you need to do is move your bed to the other side of the room, because that's probably a lot of, let's try and get Nate back in here.
Yeah. Everybody that's watching, just Google what happens with high EMF long-term exposure. And you'll be terrified.
Not good.
Yeah,
it's not good. You're better off having a ghost, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a lot safer to have a ghost than high EMF.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to run them in my office, actually, because here or at work, my offices are way too much.
Yep. So
but I like what you said, Bill, about doing it in conjunction with, because that's how our team looks at it too. It's not just, okay, we have an EMF spike, there's something right here. That doesn't prove anything. But if you can get it to interact, if you can get it to actually be responsive, and then possibly couple that with other equipment at the same time, then you might have something there.
Right. Exactly. Most people think just because, it went up, it's something.
Right.
Now, obviously, in an abandoned location, it's kind of interesting if it just spikes.
Yeah.
But you don't know, but it's definitely, I didn't really use it just to find something. More like if we hit an area, then I would try all over that area and make sure that it's not just responding to something I can't see, under the ground, or, I've had that. We're at a place and it was an outdoor facility. It was live and everything, but we were in the outdoor part. It was like a zoo, and it was spiking like crazy in this area. And then when we ran it across the ground in a certain way, it must have been some kind of underground wire, because it followed it from end to end. So,
Right.
Yep.
When you go into a home for a home investigation, first thing I ask is, do you have Wi-Fi and where's your router?
Yeah.
You always want to map that out first. We use an RF meter, radio frequency meter, that will debunk other equipment reacting. So when that RF meter lights up and something else lights up, it's a false positive, because there's some signal or some other something shooting around through the environment that's making the RF meter light up, and it'll make other things light up.
Yeah, because like a remote control, if somebody hits a button, that can set things off.
Yeah, walkie-talkies. We all use walkie-talkies in setting up, and they'll make a REM pod go insane.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, and another big thing is your cell phone. When we do investigations, we go airplane mode. And a lot of places that do investigations, like for public, say like Lizzie Borden House, for instance, to throw that out, they'll do public investigations. They don't, they want that big hype. So they don't tell anyone. And these people are walking around and they're, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like,
that's why these tours always give out, the first thing they give out on these tours is a K2 meter.
Yeah.
Now you can burp hard enough and that K2 is going to light up.
This is true.
So we don't use K2 meters on our team.
I do. I have some. We play around with everything, but I have to touch on that cell phone situation.
Yeah.
First of all, and I'll see if everybody agrees with me. Do not use ghost apps. Okay. Ghost Tube, all those things. Oh my God, stay away from them, because the thing is, I tell people. Are
you saying my ghost radar isn't accurate?
I've played with all of them, trust me. But the thing is, I tell people cell phones are tough to use, because even if you're using it just to say, like let's say you didn't have a recorder and you wanted to use it just record audio or video, okay, I guess you could use that, but your cell phone has like 40 apps running in the background that every one of them sometimes will make a little vibration or something that's going to contaminate your evidence. So it's real hard to get something through there. And ghost apps, I know some of them that were developed and they are produced for responses. You know, they even go in and they say like a normal app, how it says, oh, we need to access your contacts and stuff. It will, some of them will actually pull information from your phone and use it. They'll use names, they'll use stuff, and they're they're entertainment. But everybody goes crazy from these things, especially GhostTube and I don't forget the other one. But
there's
one.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
There's one that our team uses, and it's just called Ghost Hunters, and it's like a blue hand, and we don't rely on it. It's kind of like an Ovilus; it just spits out words. But we have noticed that depending on locations, there are times in which the words that are coming up are completely tied in, included into the research we've done. Sure. So it kind of is like, okay, well, that makes sense. So this is a little bit weird, but it always spits out a bunch of junk too.
Right.
Yeah, as people who do ITC, I'm intrigued with ITC apps. I have been for years. All the ones with program words, I'm not a fan of. But if you're going to use ITC apps, use them on a separate pad, like an Android pad, or I mean, most of them are Android, but not with a cell signal going to that tablet or that pad. So don't use them on your phones. If you're going to use ITC apps, those aren't ghost apps. Those are instrumental transcommunication apps, and there are some really good ones out there.
I mean, look, anything, even GhostTube and those things, can they work sometimes? It's possible. I mean, they can manipulate anything, but the odds of it are very low. And I wouldn't, go out and buy a cheap, recorder and go buy, you know what I mean? Use those first.
Yep.
If you want to compare, but
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of people too, what are your guys' opinion on specifically the Necrophonic app? Because I know so many YouTubers have the Necrophonic app, that they post as evidence, and
haven't used it.
Nope. No, thank you.
No, I don't. Okay. I don't. That one on all those groups I'm on Facebook. The two main apps are the Necrophonic and the GhostTube.
Yep.
Especially GhostTube with the SLS part of it. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't look. I'm IT for 30-something years old. I know programs. I know apps. I know things. It's like if you go to the casino and you sit down and you play cards, you're taking. It's gambling.
Yeah.
You have a calculated thing on your cards. But if you go and you play online, that program is programmed. They can do anything to that program.
Yep, I agree.
So how can you tell if it's real or not? The point of what we do is to try to get true evidence. And those apps, you can never get true evidence from.
Well, and
who
wants to buy an app that doesn't do anything? So I do think that they're manipulated to go off, over false positives, because no one wants to spend $20 on an app that just doesn't do anything.
I mean, it's like, who wants to watch a ghost show where nothing happens?
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yep. What are your guys' thoughts on, that I hope I don't screw up by naming a specific name, but the Steve Huff apps are very popular and expensive.
No, not going to say a word.
Yeah.
I'm going to touch that one.
I'll just say I got kicked out of his group. That's all I'll say.
I mean, they seem to work. He talks to celebrities that pass away like within a couple hours. I mean, they seem to be pretty decent apps.
True, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
I've seen the word bank printouts of some of those things.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say how.
Well, I'll say how. I bought one on accident once because I didn't know any better. And the thing is, within 5 minutes of having this thing on, I was surrounded by 5 demons, and it just so happened that the program was able to give me their complete entire history.
Yeah,
it knew who was there with me and who they were and their whole history of being a demon. So it was great.
Yeah, there's a few names out there we don't talk about too much.
Yeah, man, I wish Nate would. I think he's trying to get his tech things figured out. But so Tammy, you brought some equipment.
I did.
you want to show a couple things and everybody can chime in on what they do and if they use them? And
Sure. So, I mean, this is one of the most common things. I mean, we all know what I'm trying to figure out where the good spot is, and we all know what a REM pod is.
Yep.
This is a very common thing. We see this on all the ghost
well,
hunting
we
shows.
might have newer people in here, so go ahead and
Okay.
explain what it is and what it does and what the theory is.
Okay, so basically this is, you just raise the antenna, there's a temperature control button, as well as these lights on top will light up different colors. And the device itself is supposed to be getting static electricity. So the theory behind it is that if there's an entity or a spirit nearby, that static electricity is picked up by them being close in proximity, and they can manipulate it by being on the different sides of the lights.
Yeah, REM pod, excuse me if I could, is radiating electromagnetic device. That antenna radiates about, is it 6 inches?
Yeah,
out
it's not far.
I think it's,
Yes.
Yeah, so anything that breaks that 6-inch field,
Correct.
that EMF will
Right.
cause it to light up.
Right.
Correct.
So it doesn't detect EMF like a lot of other things does. It actually emits its own, and you've got to break the plane.
Right.
But understand how these pieces work. That piece is very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So the slightest footstep can set it off. Something close to it can set it off. So if it starts going off a lot, the best things we do is we move it. We move it
Yep.
around. If it
Change
starts
the
going like
battery.
crazy, I'll change the battery sometimes, just to make sure. But I mean, we've had a lot of crazy things with that, but
Yeah.
you just got to be very sure. You put it somewhere, and anything that vibrates or anything will set that thing off, besides the breaking of the field.
Yes, and one of our favorite pieces, we absolutely, and I have this kind of rubber band just to a base for a tripod. So the rubber bands are not a part of it, but this is called a paranormal music box. These are kind of one of our favorite pieces. Like Bill said, you do have to be careful. You do have to make sure your batteries are good and solid and they're not running down. But it is a motion sensor. So anything that, and this goes for 5 to 6 feet out in that plane. So anything that breaks that field will cause it to play. It plays a very creepy tune, and
Of course it does.
it lights up and flashes. We also like to use it when it lights up or with the music to get yes and no responses. And we'll ask it, like, okay, if that's a yes, we need you to make it go off, step into the plane of the music box. If it's a no, do not make it go off. And we have had tremendous success with this.
Also, something that you should keep in mind with any piece of paranormal equipment is to use shielded, really good batteries.
Yes.
Cheap batteries will emit their own EMF, which can just make your piece of equipment useless if you're using crap batteries.
Yep.
Right.
So you want to use really good shielded batteries if you can.
So like Duracell and Energizer.
They're expensive, but
AC Delco, the
Okay.
better batteries.
You don't want to go to the dollar store and buy your batteries.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that is a piece of equipment I do not own.
We have
Wait, what?
Well, let me
What?
open up the website now.
Yeah, I was gonna say he'll be on Amazon here in 5 minutes.
I
But
might.
again, nobody can own something I don't.
Morning.
Another cool one that came out on actually came out on the show Kindred Spirits originally, and that we have is the tripwire, and I have it all kind of bundled up here.
yeah,
But these are individual EMF sensors through the whole thing.
So those aren't motion activated; those are EMF
They're
activated.
EMF.
Okay.
and they're great for staircases, for long staircases. You can trail EMF going down the staircase. It's quite. I mean, they're
I
cool.
have like the old school version of that. I have the arrays, they're little tiny boxes with a one little light and an antenna sticking off of them, and they hold a 9-volt battery. And I have 6 of them. So you spread them out down a hallway, and you get something that walks down that hallway, and it one by one goes, and it's it's a pretty cool little effect.
But the tripwire, you have to be careful. You cannot have it cross over each other. The
Nope.
wires can't touch. So if any of you want to get one and you put it out, don't let it touch itself.
Yeah, and to our point earlier that we were talking about stuff being in the floor, things like that, we've had several locations where we've laid it out. And if you lay the sucker out and it's not the first color, it goes in the color of the rainbow. So the first color is kind of a purplish pink. And if you lay it out and there's one that's immediately going off and going crazy, there's a good likelihood there's something in the floor under you. There's something around that's causing it to trigger. So
now, if you want a low-tech device to put down a hall, go get you a giant bag of styrofoam cups and draw a pattern on them. Line them up down a hallway facing the camera. Make sure you take a picture of how you have the patterns set up. Well, where's the camera? Because also one of the theories are when there's a manifestation, there's static electricity created.
Okay.
So what happens with styrofoam cups?
Yeah, moves.
don't move.
So this takes no batteries. Cheap. You get them at the dollar store.
See, now you're in with the theme of the show. It's how to detect this stuff without spending much money, because that's what, $2. I've never heard of that. That's actually a cool idea.
That's a good idea.
Well, we have
a couple.
We're always checking for static and
Right.
static detectors. So if a ghost emits static or static brings one on, styrofoam peanuts, but that's a pain in the neck trying to clean those up. Then you can go back and you can watch your DVR, your camera footage, and see if anything shifted.
Right.
Yep.
I think we're going to try that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I do too.
To go on a little bit of the not spending money, we used to use back before when I was doing this, before a lot of this equipment was even there and people had it. We used to take a bell on a string, put it on like a cabinet door.
These are Amazon. You can get a whole bag. They're really cheap, and fishing wire.
Yeah. Cat toys. Everybody loves the motion activated cat balls.
I thought we cleared that up. We weren't supposed to call them that.
Spirit balls. Everyone listening, these are called spirit balls.
Orbs. They're orbs.
Right. And spirit balls cost $20 more than cat balls.
Cat balls are $4.99. Spirit balls are $29.99.
And I tell you what, they're getting harder to find because everybody knows about them now.
Yeah, exactly.
And to go on, Philip was talking about with the static. I have a static dome. I don't know if you guys ever used these.
Never seen one.
From Vortex.
Yeah, Vortex dome.
I've got the orange one. Yeah.
What it is, it's similar to a REM pod, but it doesn't omit anything. So every one of these lights around the outside, they're manipulated by static energy.
Okay.
Static electricity, anything like that. So when you put it down, the middle light stays on, and then you can try to get something to go toward it, and it'll light up from the direction where it came. But what you're looking for is intelligent responses. We had one that I use even at our lectures and stuff. That's fantastic. It was at the abandoned prison we had, and it lit up, and we told it to go around toward Allison, and Allison, one of our teammates, was standing right in front over here. And as we were talking to it one by one, it went like this around, all the way around as we kept telling it, and it got to her and it stopped and it went off.
Okay.
So it's those intelligent ones are what you're looking for.
Correct.
We actually have a pretty good question here, but before I get to this question, I want to bring Nate in. Nate, can you hear us? And
yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, we're all good now. Great.
Cool.
So Nate, tell us a little bit about what you do, because you don't buy this stuff, you actually make it. So go on for a couple minutes about what you make. I'm going to step away for like 60 seconds, and then we'll get to this question. So it's you, Nate.
So like Bill, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on actual equipment, but a lot of stuff I buy and then I take it apart. That's the scary part. Like when you buy like an Ovilus for $600 and then you take it apart to see how it works. I do that and then I reverse engineer it, and so I can build it myself. But yeah, I can build everything from SLS cameras to EMF detectors. I build a lot of my own stuff, a lot of different sort of theoretical experimental ideas. Some are kind of out there, but yeah, I don't know. I've spent a lot of money and I've spent a lot of time building, and I work in all different fields, ITC, IDC. I don't know. I've been wanting to get into like different light spectrums, and I've been working on a multispectral, like hyperspectral camera, which is sort of like 5 different cameras in one, and it takes one picture. And like they actually use them for photographing crops from like an aerial view. But I thought it would have like, it could be applied to the paranormal field, just because we only tend to work really in like the popular light spectrums of UV, IR, and then sort of normal, but the like multispectral camera is all of those plus thermal plus depth, and it has really cool, I don't know, you'd have to look it up, like, but it has a really cool like effect on whatever you're looking at. So that's what I've been working on lately, but it's kind of difficult to program like all of those cameras to take a picture at once. Let's see. I don't know.
Well, Nate, you're now Bill and my best friend.
Oh, me and Nate talk all the time.
Yeah. You guys might want to trade a Cash App.
I know, right?
And when I first started with computers, I learned computer electronics. I worked with circuit boards and all things like that. I build computers, but I have never really played with the equipment like Nate does, because if I buy a $500 Ovilus, I just no way I'm taking it apart. I can't do it.
Me neither.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. Just like, especially with like the digital dowsing stuff, because of the way he builds it, he sort of hides everything. And on the side, actually, there's a little like on like I don't think the 5s are like this, but the 3s and down, on the side there's a panel, and you have to sort of take a flathead screwdriver and slowly, sort of slide it up and pop the panel off because it's glued, and then it's just all held together by like 3 screws, and the whole unit sort of slides apart. But yeah, that was intense. Taking apart an old Ovilus and hoping I could put it back together.
Yep.
But yeah, I like to figure out how things work, but that way, so I think like it was during COVID, everyone thought digital dowsing was going to shut down, so I wanted to learn how to repair all of these things, people had a place they could send that stuff if they needed repairs.
I actually have an Ovilus that I need repaired.
What model is it?
I believe like the 2 or 3.
Oh, so it's an older one.
It's an older one, yeah. Might have to get that.
I could give it a shot. Yeah, I just replaced the screen on one. You have to like the way he builds them. You need to buy the old, the old screens and stuff.
Is that
like
Bill Chappell from Digital Dowsing? Is that is that his name?
Yeah, Bill Chappell.
For people that don't know that. Yeah.
He builds like the original SLS stuff like that. But they charge like $1,000 for theirs.
God, that's crazy. And if he signs it, it's $1,500.
I know. Well,
I'd be signing them damn things all day for an extra $500.
Well, they have the new like Ovilus 3 Plus. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're weird. But they have an Ovilus 6 coming out also, so I don't really know.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a rare experience. The guy that used to be on my team, a good friend of mine that passed away last year, Tim Yancey. I don't know if any of you know him. He was in the field for a long, long time. But I was over at his wife's house, and she pulled out a piece of equipment of his, and it was an Ovilus 1. It was the original. That it was this big thing with the buttons, and you had to hook up to a speaker to it, and it was real interesting to see it. Yeah. It was crazy.
I have a friend that has like every single Ovilus, and he like searched them out. I actually use more than my 5. I use the Ovilus X, which is just like you actually need this other little device you connect through a data port that has the word, like the digital word readout. But I get better results with that than I do like the 5 or the 3. I have this other thing called an EMF ITC, which was between the 2nd and 3rd Ovilus. So it's actually like a cross between the Ovilus 3 and a K2, because it has all of the Ovilus modes, but it has the EMF like LED readout on the top. So that's kind of a cool device. But
We got a listener that wants to know if you have a website that you sell your stuff.
No, I don't actually. I tried for a while, but it's
well. Let me ask you this: if somebody, like, let's say somebody had an idea and they don't know how to build something, but they like, I want this device to do this. Could they get in contact with you by just friending you on Facebook and
that's what,
and say, hey,
normally,
I want this. Can you do this? And what would it cost?
Yeah, normally that's what people do. Or if they want something repaired, they normally, if like, I'll just charge someone like the parts and shipping, and I'll just do it because I like to do it for the most part.
Don't say that. Stop yourself. Let me introduce you to your new agent. How's it going, Nate?
I have some things I'm waiting to talk to him about.
yeah. Can we jump back to this question here? This is a pretty good question. So it says, just joining, apologize. How do people tell who is a scammer ghost hunter and who is not? And how do you learn how to troubleshoot? I'm assuming they're talking about how can people tell if they're buying good ghost equipment versus high dollar crap that's made to go off at Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? Like things that are designed to go off to read a false positive, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's all sort of experimental, except for actual scientific devices. Like I have an EDI meter I use a lot, which is actually like a scientific device.
And I have a millimeter.
Environmental detection device is what EDI is. It has EMF, GEO, which is vibration, barometric pressure, temperature variation goes up.
Humidity.
5 degrees, it'll light up blue or red. 5 degrees hotter or cooler.
I have the original one though.
That's a good, because you can also put a disc in it and record, and then download it onto your computer, and it'll put out in a nice graph of all the readings that it took. You used it.
To answer this question a little bit, one of the things you have to look for, well, you kind of have to know, is a lot of the people that are on things like YouTube and TikTok and stuff that are scammers or faking it, they have the devices to where they can control how they go off. They have things around the area that they'll turn on that will set off the REM pod that you can't see off screen. There's a lot of things like that. I don't know if it's so much about the actual equipment, but some of it's getting hard to detect because they're getting real smart on how to trigger things.
And Google, if you're interested in something, Google the heck out of it first. See what other people are saying. If 90% of the people saying it's crap, don't get it. We all have this equipment, but if we don't know what it does and how it does it, it's useless. If you buy something, you print off everything it does and you put it in a big notebook. Every piece of equipment I've got, everything I can find about it, and have it where you can reference it anytime. And just know what it does.
Well, that's actual research, because I've seen people go to clients with videos of their K2 going off. It's like, oh my gosh, don't do that. You can't, you don't want to scare your clients. And a K2 goes off, like you said, at a mouse fart. You know, those things will go off. So let's not do that, people.
There's a big skeptic. I'm not going to say his name, but just rips every piece of equipment apart. It's all junk.
I know.
Everything about the paranormal is experimental. We're trying to detect and communicate and show intelligent interaction. And whatever equipment you want to use, if you can do that with it, then great. But you have to have it debunkable. So even if it's some crazy piece of equipment, if you can create an experiment and carry it out that shows that you've gotten intelligent interaction and you've gotten rid of the variables, then so what if it's a crazy piece of equipment?
Yeah, this William guy makes a point that I like. Personally, I like things that are designed to do what they're designed to do and not altered to detect a ghost, like a FLIR camera.
Or
a FLIR camera is
natural
designed to.
tri-field meter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in even the Melmeter that Tammy held up.
Yeah.
But the tri-field meter, you have to be careful. It can detect lightning from so far away that you can't even hear the thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to. I mean, it's good to have a lightning strike detector with. I know I get kind of technical,
Yeah,
but because I mean, lightning can even an overhead plane with radios going on, if the plane's too low, can affect. I'm talking with my hands, like you can see, can sometimes affect a tri-field meter. So there are precautions you've got to take when using things to try to get rid of outside influences.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like what William said, William is one of my friends. So FYI,
Okay.
but, yeah, the FLIR, doing thermal imaging.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a heat signature or cold signature and it's in the shape of a human being and there's no one standing there.
Yes, it's happened.
That's pretty good.
We got video. It was like, okay, there's 4 of us, but there's 5 in the FLIR. Wait a minute. Yeah.
Yep.
As long as it's not a reflection. I've seen that way too many times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or someone leaned up against the wall.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
seen that happen too.
Yeah, we had
Or a
one.
vacuum cleaner.
That's a good point with the reflection, because I was showing, I was with a couple of my teammates on a case, and they were using the FLIR, and they had it pointed. It was like a bookshelf, and there was this strange heat source there, you know. And we look for that too sometimes in the walls, because I've found animals in people's walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're looking at it, and they were convinced there was something there, and I'm going, I don't think so. I'm looking. This is where you have to learn how to debunk. I'm looking around, and then what it was is there was some kind of like a metal vase on the shelf that was reflecting the light off to the side. As soon as we covered that light with our hand, it went away on the screen.
Yep.
So you got to look like a little for everything.
You have to think outside of the box. You really do.
Yeah.
You have to be aware and take into all your surroundings and what is going on. Where is a light source coming from? Could there be car lights coming through a blind? I mean, you have to really think out of the box to debunk things.
I've got a quick story about an SLS camera incident that I had. This was early on when I started. So these people were telling us that they brought in this lamp from an antique store and they felt it was haunted. So we had the SLS camera on it, and sure enough, I'm standing here and this lamp is projecting a figure. Well, so we went and we, and I would jump at it. It would jump back at me. It was catching the reflection through like the burlap, but those things are very prone to causing stick figures with cylindrical reflective surfaces. And it was
orchid on the coffee table. It's a person. A coat rack can be a person.
Yeah, any vertical line. Any
more
vertical
of a
line
fun.
can register.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a few things about the SLS. I try to educate people on Facebook all the time with this SLS, because they bring out, like I was talking about, the ghost tube. And I try to explain to them, I said, forget the ghost tube app. Even if you're using a regular SLS camera, you have to understand what it is designed to do. Absolutely. It is designed to constantly scan, to look for a person.
Yes.
It's looking for something to map out, because it was originally used for like the, for the video game, for motion.
Yeah.
So it's looking for something to map out. Chairs are gonna map out like a person in a second. Everybody thinks there's a person sitting in the chair all the time.
It's mapping the arms and the legs.
Right. I've seen it map out stuff off of wallpaper patterns, bricks, the lines from the bricks. I've seen, you really have to have a complete empty room, or you have to have something like, I have a few encounters with the SLS where I can't explain.
I have a great story for you.
Yeah. I have one from the prison. Oh my God. We got something standing there next to one of our teammates that was doing the normal little dancing thing, and and it disappeared. But the thing was, I didn't have anything recording. I had my phone on. I put my phone away real quick because I just wanted to capture it real quick. It went away. We heard a noise. This is in the chapel of the abandoned prison. I turned the camera. I wish I had this. You never get the good stuff on film. Turned the SLS, and it was over there, and it ran off the screen.
Oh, wow.
Now, we put I had the flashlights and stuff to see if there was animals or anything, but we didn't see anything. But it actually ran off the screen, which I've never seen before.
You don't use a screen recorder?
No, I didn't have the screen recorder on it at the time.
Oh,
it was when
okay.
I first had it running. It was literally, it was the first night I had it running.
Oh, okay.
The SLS, the thing is shooting out a grid of tiny IR dots of light.
Yep.
And anything that comes between the device and the furthest point of light, it's going to try to map into a skeleton because the program is a skeletal mapping program.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff you see on television is just crap.
It is. I've got a couple of good ones because we're the same way. Like we realized that very quickly using the SLS that oh whoa, there's a lot of false positives.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we have two different incidents I can think just right off the top of my head. One was we're in an old building that has a theater. And my daughter actually was with us at that time, but they seemed to be sitting next to her. And so we said, go up on the stage and do a little dance. And, we were saying, okay, go dance with Ashley, go dance with her. And we said, do the worm. And this stick figure standing next to her doing its dance thing while she's dancing. We said, go do the worm, do the worm. The stick figure drops to the floor and literally is doing the worm. And that was really cool. And then another incident, we were in a very, very popular house in Atchison, Kansas. And I know everyone's been to the Sally house, so I guess I'll just say it, but in the Sally house, and we actually this is an instance where we were wondering and trying to debunk, but we did in the moment. We had a doll sitting, it's actually like we have a doll that we take with us. She's kind of like our team doll. And we named her Lorraine, by the way. So kudos. But we had a tap light sitting in her lap. And you could see on the SLS, the stick figure, and we couldn't decide, is it mapping the doll or is it, we think it's mapping the doll. But then we ask it to take its hand and touch the tap light and change the color on the tap light. And you see its hand clearly touch the tap light, hitting it, it changes the color. And then we said, okay, whoa, we got something here. And then we said, okay, just to confirm, can you go over there and ride the rocking horse? Can you go get on the rocking horse and, ride it like a cowboy? And it did. And it was very impressive.
Well, one of the strangest ones that I couldn't explain was, when you're looking at the actual screen and in the top right corner, you have the little box. And if you have a person in front of it, besides the stick figure, it actually maps around the whole person. Where when you capture something else, it's just a stick figure. Again, at the prison, we were in the medical facility and everybody was behind me and it mapped out a stick figure that did not move. It just stood there. It was just like frozen. But then up on the screen, it actually had a person, the shadow mapped around the whole stick figure. I have never seen that before. It did not move once. We have that recorded. It didn't move once, but it was weird because I've never seen it pick up, actually detect what looked like a person around the stick figure.
Can I ask a question? So I've always heard that people want SLS cameras made out of the old Kinect cameras because they were flawed. And a lot of video game users were saying that, hey, these things are going off and, I'm not causing it. And it wasn't Ghost doing it. It was a flaw. So are the newer Kinect cameras used to make the SLS cameras or not?
Yeah.
Or is it everybody wants the old ones?
I made one out of the new Kinects and it's way better than the old system.
So it gets rid of a lot of the false positives that.
Yeah. like there's stuff that, like my coat rack before would always show that it was a person with the old one, but now I can keep it on it and it won't register anything. It's hard to get it to register actually. So
That's actually good though, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's like
And
the
if you can put
cameras
it on
are
a
updated.
tripod, and it's even better.
Yeah.
And not
I have mine
hold it
on like a
with your hand.
shoulder rig.
Yeah.
Because don't they reset themselves every time they're moved? Don't they have to recalibrate? Because I've heard it takes like 3 to 5 seconds every time you move it to recalibrate it, and that's where a lot of these false positives were coming from as well.
Because those
I'm not
dots, the
sure.
light it's putting out are shifting and moving, and the distance is changing.
That's why I was heard that, like, unless you have it stationary, it's really, I mean, you can't really count on them.
Yeah, I mean, the new system's a lot smoother. Plus, there's different modes you can use. Like the depth mode that you use with the old system is a lot more intricate. Like it maps like a lot more depth, color, stuff like that. You can see a lot further. But then there's also, I forget exactly the name of it. You'll see it on TV when they use like the new systems where it's almost like a rainbow color. And it's like when people use like a 3D camera to like scan something, and it has that sort of look to it. But there's a lot of different modes.
Ghost Adventures, I think, uses that, and I'm sorry, I'm still a sucker for that show. It's entertaining. Don't hate me.
I've been watching the new season.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is too is that these things are software driven. So I I go back to the Ghost Tube thing. The reason I tell people, it's programmed.
Yeah.
So the Ghost Tube is an app designed to work like an SLS camera. So it's programmed to
give you results,
give responses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it is. Software. I mean,
because like I said in the beginning, no one wants to buy anything that doesn't go off. I mean, seriously, if this thing's not going to do anything on 4 investigations that I go to, then I wasted my money, even though it's actually probably doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
But it's like a phone doesn't have all of the equipment necessary to do something like that accurately. Like it doesn't have the depth camera or the IR camera.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't believe in any apps really.
Right.
Like
that's
people
what I
try
tell
to save
people.
money using them, but I don't know. I don't put much stock in them because your phone, like it's like use your phone as a phone to try to communicate with spirits, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take a step. I want to go on something and see if you guys agree with me on this one. Because I've had some arguments with people on Facebook over this one. The flashlight trick. All right. So
vibration.
The thing is, if look, spirits can manipulate stuff. So if you want to use a flashlight to give you yes or no answers, just put the flashlight down and see if it manipulates it.
Yep.
Do not use this trick that was taught by the TV shows. And I had a big argument with somebody on Facebook that was an investigator that posted the greatest paranormal evidence ever. That was the title. And he had a flashlight sitting on a mantle and he was asking questions and it would go off. Sometimes it would go on sometimes. And he lost his mind when I called him out and said that, the flashlight trick is not real. Yeah. What they do is they take the flashlight and they like a mag light and they unscrew the top.
Yeah.
They leave it on and you unscrew the top until it just breaks the connection. And then they leave it there and you ask questions. Well, guess what? It's going to randomly go off because the connection is almost touching.
It's broken.
Touch. The temperature is going to make it touch. Everything is going to
heat
do
transference. It's going to expand and contract and connect.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a video. I have a video that somebody made where they showed it. They took the hair dryer and they put it on and it went off, and they put it on cold and it went on. They like opposite. Well, hot, it turned it on, and so that's a trick they use on TV because it's something that is gonna produce a response.
If you want to experiment with something like that, do it in a controlled way. Use 3 different colored mag lights, 1 yes, 1 no, 1 I don't know, with colored, and try to get some kind of baseline. If they could, just not randomly turn one on. Just, okay, well, this is something that my team does to try to get rid of just randomness is we do experiments with, we have these
Center cards. Yep.
and we will lay these out and place pieces of equipment on them. Like, let's say the spirit balls, the cat balls. Put one on each one and say, can you touch the device on the blue triangle number 3? We've got shape in case they are colorblind. If they can't read numbers, they can read shape. Try to get something for everybody, and experiment that way instead of just randomness. Randomness shows us nothing.
Yeah.
Coincidence and then pattern. 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern.
Yep.
Yeah, that reminds me of an experiment we did where we actually took family photos and we laid them out on the floor with cat balls by the or spirit balls. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you
by the family photos. And and we, who are we talking to right now? So you have to really get creative with things to get, I feel like, responsive truth answers.
So here's my observations at this point. So if we go ghost hunting with Tammy and Bill, we've got a lot of money out on the table. But if we go with Philip, we're looking at about $7 right now with some styrofoam cups, some laminated cards. I'm going to go with Philip, man. I like it.
I've got every laser grid, I've got it all. But I like to combine things because I think somebody had put in the banner. The more pieces of equipment you have backing each other up at the same occurrence is just better evidence. It's like if you got one thing going off, it's like, oh, that's cool. You got 5 things reacting at one time.
Right.
Just more believable.
Let's go to this question. Let's go around the table here. So we'll start with Tammy. So Jerry wants to know what
no
each
pressure,
person's
Jerry.
favorite. What's that?
Oh, I said no pressure, Jerry.
Yeah. She wants to know what's your favorite piece of equipment to use?
Me. No,
yes,
I'm just kidding.
all of us. But you start.
Okay. I alluded to it, but the paranormal music box is I really like using it, but in conjunction with other things to validate results.
Mm-hmm.
I also like my Melmeter with temperature, EMF, and so that's kind of a cool device because if you're getting REM pod activity, because this one has REM as well, it's got REM and temperature and EMF. So if you're getting keys on all of those things in an area, and then you have something else, we're a big proponent of more than one thing happening at a time. Yeah. To rely on one piece of equipment, it could be fallible. There could be something causing it.
Right. For me, I'm still going to go back to audio. Digital recorders to me, is I have probably about 40 different recorders. I have every type. I even have some old school cassette recorders that I'll use sometimes. That to me is the best. I mean, when something comes through on that, when a straight class A EVP voice comes through there responding to you, you cannot, it's nothing like the light went off on here or the temperature changed here. It is, to me, the best evidence. Yeah. So but I do like to use a lot together, but the audio, like when I'm out and we're on an investigation, more like a public investigation, we have, our regular recorders. I have on my video camera, I have a Tascam next to it. And I also wear one of the wrist EVPs that just runs the entire time I'm in there. Yeah. I love to have a bunch of them because if you capture something, see if I can find it on the other device. Look at the time frame of it and see if I can find it on both of them.
Right. And we do that too with our IR cams. The cameras all have audio. We run audio. EVPs are the best. When you get, like you said, when you get a Class A EVP, it is undeniable. And we have an all-girl team. So when we get a Class A EVP and it is a very stern male voice, there's no joke that we're like, well, that's not us, because we're not.
Right.
We're not even in that same realm of speech pattern or vocal. So
I'll tell you, I love a lot of people. If you know, I'm going to plug them a little bit just because I love their equipment. Is Go Stop.
yes.
Go Stop makes some of the greatest equipment. They are actual investigators, so they kind of take things we use and make them a little better. You know, but they have a watch that looks just like a smartwatch, and I use it on almost every investigation. I just hit it, and it will actually record for about 22 hours straight.
Yeah.
And it holds it in there. You plug it in, download it on the computer. It's really, really good.
And also, they have the best customer service. I just have to say
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, they are good.
Nate, what's your favorite go-to?
I really love my Ovilus X. But besides that, I like the EDI meter. I have a Canon EOS mirrorless camera converted to full spectrum, and I really like using that quite a bit. Also, let's see, oh, it's right here. I like my Geoport quite a bit. I bring that everywhere. Yeah, so those are like my staple pieces. But then I have, like digital recorders, some of the old ones. I have a ton of them, like Bill. I even have the little cassette ones. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Panabox. This guy, John Mallory, made them. They're essentially the DR60 Panasonic recorders, super expensive ones.
Right.
We were just talking about that actually before the show.
Off air.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the counterpart to it, where it's the radio version of those Panasonic things. It looks just like a DR60, but it's a radio. And John Mallory would he basically put a chip in it and programmed the chip so it would like scan. And I've had really good results with that. Yeah, those are probably my like staple pieces if I could just like put together one small kit.
Yeah. Yep. Philip, what about you?
Well, audio evidence is 99.99% of what we get. It is rare to get something moving. I've done it a long time, and I could count on one hand how many times I've got video of something moving that shouldn't. But our DVR system is amazing. It has audio.
Yeah. And
we get the most incredible EVPs through our DVR system. And also, I like ITC equipment. I've had a lot of good results with ITC. I think Bill had brought in. I don't like the word portal because it makes you think of a certain person. I use I call it Spirit Box enhancer equipment.
Yeah.
We just had an investigation this past weekend, and the client's mother came through. I didn't know her name, and Betty kept coming through, and he's like, "What is your name, Betty?" Maybe we could talk about how that thing works, but when the client got back, because we had the client leave while we're there for the first half of the investigation. Yep. I said, "Do you know someone named Betty?" And she said, "That's my mother." And she just burst out into tears. I mean, her mother had passed in the house. I knew the mother had passed in the house, but the rest of the team didn't. Yeah. You can't dispute that. I mean, it was clear she said it more than once. Betty.
Yeah. Yep.
So I love ITC equipment.
I'm going to jump in with my favorite, and I know people crap on this device all the time, but I love you guys are all right with the EVP. There's nothing better than a Class A EVP, but like if I'm picking a piece of equipment to take with me, it's usually the Spirit Box. I just love the direct, because if you're scanning backwards on or AM radio, the fastest frequency it can go, and you get 2 or 3 words together, like that's not possible unless it's some kind of spirit. So I that's my go-to.
And you can not to interrupt, but like one of my devices, I have a scramble pedal, guitar pedal that scrambles the radio coming through, so it's all jumbled up garbage. Yeah. And when you can get a sentence out of something that sounds like Pig Latin, how do you dispute that when it directly answers a question? Yep. And it should not sound like anything. So, and EVPs, people always want to dispute EVPs. Well, you can analyze an EVP with a spectrograph. Audacity or what's the other WordPad, and you can show the hertz of the human voice and the hertz of the EVP and clearly see
the difference.
And we always include a sample of that in the client report, and we'll show the graph and say, here's our voices, here's this voice. There's no way this is.
Yep.
So you can analyze these scientifically, and it's like, okay, just dispute that.
I've got another question. Oh, go ahead, Bill. Then I got a question.
I was just going to say, just to tap onto you, what you're talking about with the Spirit Box. A lot of people, I know there's some people out there that know this and some that don't. There's a method of using the Spirit Box called the Estes method.
Yes, I use it all the time.
Fantastic. You get a pair of noise canceling headphones. I have Vic Firth drummer headphones.
Yeah.
And you put them into the Spirit Box, and you blindfold the person who's using it, and you just give them a pen and paper, and then you ask the questions, and they are not manipulated by you asking the questions. So they're just writing down. Yeah, they're just writing down anything they hear.
Well, we tell them to shout it out.
Yeah.
We say just shout out whatever you hear when you hear it.
Yeah.
We do that too, and then we record the so that we can have a transcript later made of that to see what did we get, how did it work out. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's an amazing way to use it, and you'll be surprised. And for anybody who was wondering what that is, people do call it a portal, but all it is a guitar amp and guitar pedals that when you manipulate them, it takes out the static, and all you get is the voices.
That's what the GeoPort essentially is, except it's all in a radio. But I actually just built recently. Recently I built a module.
This one's mine.
All
right, if we're all showing ours, I'm going to grab mine.
My two are in the other room.
I can't get it. No, mine's an actual big guitar amp.
Well, I also got recently that I haven't used yet. The last time I was I see that's the problem. I go up to the Ghost Stop all the time when I'm doing conventions up in Orlando, and I walk in to pick up like something that we do for a raffle, and then I'm like, oh, what is that? And they had a little a piece. Now I'm gonna forget what it is. Tell me if I'm saying this. AMC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's a little tiny box this big that does exactly what this does.
I actually the guy that makes the mail meters makes that, if I'm not mistaken.
Not that one. He made the original one. Yeah. But going back to the Spirit Boxes, I actually just built a module recently that you plug your Spirit Box into and then plug an external speaker into. And what it does is it does real live reverse. So you're not just scanning backwards, but it actually is like really backwards. So if you get, something that sounds legit from that, it's, I don't know how to dispute that.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm going to have to trade phone numbers with you. Or Nate,
yeah, no doubt.
Trade phone numbers with you.
Yeah,
so I've got an interesting tie-in here with the Spirit Box, and tell me your guys' experience with this. So I've got several videos of doing the Estes method that Bill just talked about. And it really seems to me, so like if you take a group of skeptics and documenters and have them run the Estes method, it's not near as productive as if you take a group of, say, 3 or 4 psychics or mediums and put them all together.
Yeah.
It's a 45-minute conversation with, and you can switch up the questions, right. So have you guys had the same experiences even with equipment? Like if you guys have a team stacked with, because we usually send out 1 or 2 teams on a location to different areas of what we're doing. And we send out like a psychic team, and we send out like the skeptic team. Do you guys have the same experiences when you guys do that? Or, I mean, if you do it?
We have done that in the past. We have several members on our team. I'm a medium and sensitive, and we have another sensitive. Our team lead is a sensitive. And then we have a couple other members that I honestly believe that everyone has abilities. Yeah. I mean, it's just whether you're open and using them or not and know how to do that. But we've done that experiment actually a couple times. And I think you're right. I think the people that are more open, that are more sensitive, they do tend to get conversations and hear things a lot easier and better than people that are not.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got
Absolutely.
sessions, like I said, on my YouTube channel where there's, they're 45 minutes of just nonstop communication, like the entire time, not 5 minutes and then 10 minutes of quiet time. It's the whole time. So,
Right.
Bill, do you guys do that at all? I mean, I know you got a pretty big team, don't you?
No, I have a smaller team actually. I keep it pretty small. I really haven't done that much with my team. I've done that before on teams that I was on. They've done that plenty. Yeah, definitely. The sensitives, absolutely. I mean, they definitely get more. I have to agree.
Yep. Philip, I know you're a sensitive. Do you have similar results? Actually, before I ask you that, I just want to put these two names out there because these two guys are like, know, Nate, you probably know these guys, that Katie Stanford and Austin Menard. They're two guys. Actually, I haven't talked to Katie, but I've talked to Austin on my show before, and they're kind of like you. They're like mad scientists with making up the ITC boxes and things like that. So
the names
go ahead,
are
Philip,
familiar.
Yeah, Katie Stanford just got done with Ghost of Devil's
Yeah.
Crack.
Yep. He actually, he was on that show.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was their tech
okay.
guy.
Yeah.
David Reader. Yeah.
Yep. So, Philip, like I said, so have you had similar experiences with like stacking teams of psychics and equipment going off and spirit box stuff? And
there aren't really any skeptics on our team because everyone's on the team because of something that's happened in their life previously that's paranormal. And so, but we have, it's definitely specific protocols we follow to debunk and things like that. Even though we're not skeptics, we have to follow protocols, but there's so many talented people on my team that it definitely makes a difference in the energy on the investigation of the information we get. But, there are strict rules. Like we choose who's going to do the sensitive walk first. They can't say anything out loud. They have to write it all down and give it to me. There's certain things, but it makes such a huge difference. And, it's one thing to be a skeptic, and then there's another thing to be a non-believer. There's so many people that call themselves skeptics that are just plain out non-believers. And no matter what evidence they see, I mean, the ghost could slap them upside the head, and they're going to make an excuse for it.
I've got one of those guys on my team. He's he has never had a paranormal experience in his life, yet he truly believes it. So, he started working with me for like the last year, and we went to a location. This was about a month ago. And he was walking through this hallway and he followed three of us through and he got that spider web thing. We're like big time work. So he was like, he's looking around like, and the whole time he's trying to come up with reasons why he didn't get touched by a ghost.
Oh, he got touched.
Yeah. And then at the end, he's like, okay.
Electricity from spirit when it goes like a spider web. I mean, that's
and then in the end, he's like, okay, I give up. I can't explain that. I think I got touched by a ghost, so he finally had a paranormal experience. As skeptical as he wants to be, and as much as he tried to debunk it, he just could not debunk that, because if it was a web, the three of us would have taken it out before him, because he's shorter than a couple people that were in the line. So
that's going to open him up a touch more.
Yeah.
And then something else is going to happen. And the next thing you know, he's going to be Teresa Caputo, the psychic medium. I mean, that's how that goes.
Yeah, we'll call him the Yellow Swamp medium.
Yeah.
I'm already the Green Swamp.
As soon as that door is open.
Yep.
I always tell people, even when we're talking at our lectures and stuff, it's like some of this stuff, if you have to experience it to fully understand.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that don't believe anything, just it's because they didn't experience it yet. But once they do, they'll change their mind.
Yep.
You could do things logical all you want. I mean, that's what I do, when I'm teaching people and I'm telling people and trying to educate them, because I always say, what is the paranormal? It's the unexplained. And if you can explain it, it's not possibly paranormal, I say that all the time, but when they experience it and they have no explanation for something like what you were just talking about, Jeff, then they have a totally different outlook.
Yep. And I've got another question for all of you too. I guess I'll give my take on it later, but I personally believe, well, actually I'm going to give it now, that there's a set of standards of evidence that you would present a paranormal residential client
Yes.
versus a ghost hunt. So let's, Tammy, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that? And what are your standards for what you would tell a client who's actually having a haunting versus, we're at the Mansfield prison and we're having a good time?
So say your question. I'm sorry. Say your question again.
So it's like, I personally, I have a different standard of evidence that I will share with a client versus what I call interesting on, say, a ghost hunt,
Well, and that's the thing. That's where ethics comes in. I mean, I feel like, when you have these clients, when you're doing it at the Missouri State Penitentiary or your Waverly Hills and you're on your team and you're there to investigate seriously, but you're also there to have fun and, figure out what's going on here. That's a completely different kind of investigation than when you're in someone's business, their personal residence. And there's an ethical duty that comes with that when you go into these homes, when you go into these businesses, not to scare the hell out of them, to be quite honest, and or make stuff up or exaggerate things. Your duty, I think, is different when you're with a client or a business. You must be there to debunk, to try to come up with some kind of logical, viable reason why this could be happening, versus when you're just out doing something as a team to have fun and at a place that is known to be, haunted.
Yeah. So you're not pulling the flashlights out at a client's house.
I will tell you a cool flashlight story. We actually were at the Vail Mansion, and we don't use the flashlights a lot, but we do use them, like I said, in conjunction with other things. And orbs are all over the board. I mean, that's a whole nother topic we could talk about for like 5 days. But we did have a flashlight on a big table in a mansion, and we actually were asking questions. It was being responsive, and then we asked it to do something more to let us for sure know that this is spirit energy. This isn't just the flashlight messing up. And we did have big balls of light come down, touch it. And as it did, it lunged off that table, fell on the floor, and rolled down the hall. And we have that on tape. And we tried to debunk it. We tried every which way to Sunday, but all of that in a, together compiled, it just seemed like, okay, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way that was all unrelated.
Yep. Bill, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, for me, the first thing is I have, like we've said, a ridiculous amount of equipment. I use probably 5% of that equipment in an actual residential home. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to pull this thing out in somebody's home, in my opinion, just for me. I'm not going to pull this out and use this. I'm not going to pull out an SLS camera and tell somebody that they have a ghost because, there's a stick figure on their chair. So it's kind of like what Tammy was saying, is an ethical thing. You have to, some people do, and everybody does things differently. I don't look down on what everybody does, but I won't use equipment normally in front of the clients. One of the biggest things I find is, let's say you pull out a recorder and you're doing some burst recording EVPs. They are going to hear something probably different than you.
Yep.
And if they have maybe a mental illness or something going on, God knows what they're going to hear, and it's going to freak them out. And I even try to teach my teammates about stuff like that. Like for one time we went to a home, and I know the people kind of wanted us. Sometimes you get people that want the equipment, and I really don't pull it out in front of them. But I was kind of doing it to show what happens. And we took a REM pod because they wanted the REM pod out, and we put it in the bathroom where they were experiencing things. But we were sitting in the living room right next to it. And then out of nowhere, that REM pod went absolutely crazy. And the lady like freaked out for a minute.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to her and to my teammates, let me show you. I said, it's on the sink. I said, what's on the other side of this wall? He said, the air conditioner just kicked on. So then I took it off, put it on the floor. It stopped. So you can really frighten people, in my opinion. And I don't, you got to be very careful with what you tell them too, because they're very influenced by what you say.
Yep, because
If-
they're already scared. That's why
Yeah.
they called you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. When we go out to a public location, we have tons
Bring
of
it all.
equipment. We're playing with everything. We're trying to see what does what. Still don't provoke. But we're trying everything, and it's very, very different. I always say, if you want to learn about how to be an investigator, learn.
Yeah.
Learn from people. Don't go and try to do homes until you've learned from somebody who has done homes, because it is a different thing. You're playing with people's lives.
We
And
actually
you're
had
learning many things.
We
Yeah.
actually had an applicant that applied a little bit ago, and the thing is, I hate telling people no, they can't be a member, but the problem they had was no residential experience. They were great people. I really think they were truly trying to study the paranormal, but they had no residential experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, we
dangerous.
can't use them for that. So I mean, but you're right. You have to learn how to do houses. It's a completely different animal.
But you know what? A lot of my team members never had done residentials before working with me.
Well, if we could
But I
mentor
taught
them,
Yes.
yeah, that's the thing.
Sometimes
If
we
we
don't
could
have time to mentor someone when they know nothing.
right,
Right.
if we would have
Right,
had
right.
people in their area that we could have hooked them up with, I would have
Mhm.
said yes, but we didn't. So I couldn't personally,
Right.
bring them to my cases because there was like a 6-hour difference drive.
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
So because I would have loved to have brought them in and kind of showed them how to do these residential stuff, because I think they would have been really good. And I told them, if you guys ever get into the residential stuff and learn how to do it, definitely look us back up, because
Yeah, I
they're
like
good
teaching
people.
them. More
Yeah,
people
I do
need
too.
to learn
Yep.
the right way.
Yep.
Better than coming with bad habits already ingrained in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nate, what do you think? Do you have I guess what would you show a client versus what you would do on a ghost hunt, as far as
I
evidence?
mean, I feel like you guys have covered it, pretty well so far.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like it's a different scientific method. You know what I mean? Being in a public place versus residential. You're searching for different answers, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in the field, you like Bill said, you can be more experimental, use more tech, things like that, try different things, because there's nobody to, amp up and freak out. Where I feel like with the residential case, I spend most of my time trying to give them logical, reasons of why, your pipes are, making noises because of your water,
Right.
and, different things like that. But, yeah, I think it's just like a search for different answers. And, you have to tread more lightly with residential cases and, try not to freak them out, essentially.
Yeah.
Where in the,
toning
public
down the fear
places.
is very important.
Yeah.
And sometimes that includes not sharing necessarily everything that you may think,
Yep.
Yes.
because again, this is a field where we are not 100% certain.
Yeah,
Once they hear something, it's hard to convince them otherwise too.
Yeah.
I've got a
That's why we
client
always- Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I've got a client, and it's actually a Warren case where there's one spirit there that would really traumatize them if I told them it was there. And I truly think that that's what the issue was. So I kept that in my pocket. I did not tell her that this is what I think is there, and here's why. I kept it in my pocket because it would absolutely traumatize her, and that is like worst case scenario for her. And it's not demonic or anything like that. It's so we've got to go kick this thing out and deal with it that way.
Yeah.
Philip, what you were starting to say something? I'm sorry.
That's one thing that, it's on our questionnaire. Have you had a previous investigation team come into your home to do an investigation? Because we're not going to go follow up somebody's mess. Because if we say that that's not correct, well, they said it's a demon. How much am I going to convince you it's not? I can't beat my head against a brick wall.
Yep.
They've got it in their head that this other team told them it's a demon.
Yep.
You got to gauge your clients. Is it worth your stress and anguish to try to help them when they're not going to listen? That comes with experience with people and clients. And knowing how to gauge. And a lot of clients, you've got two types. You've got clients that are afraid, then you've got clients that are like, I just really want to know what's going on, but they're not afraid. They're just curious.
Oh, is everybody with us?
Yep.
But as far as what? But as far as evidence that we present to a client, when we do like a historic place for fun, we follow the same protocols, the same baseline readings, the same procedures. But like Bill said, you experiment more, you try some different fun things.
Mm-hmm.
But our evidence for clients, we break it down into categories of subjective, objective, and personal, and put them in categories like our what our sensitive and mediums say. That's completely personal experience, unless we can find evidence at the location that backs up what the medium got.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not considered evidence unless it's factual.
Right.
Audio is evidence because we'll analyze it and we'll show the client, look, this is not one of us. This is a voice captured that we didn't hear. So we're very detailed on how we break down our evidence, and then we'll explain like, okay, this category is this, and it's because of this.
Yep.
And the equipment we use. I mean, our Stephanie.
Oh God, yes.
She does our reports, and they look like legal documents. That's going to
I've seen them. I've seen them.
Yeah,
Stephanie is moving to Ohio. I hope you guys aren't.
No.
I would chain her.
No. I already bought her a ticket to Florida.
So there's some things that we're not going to tell a client. That's just they don't need to know. If there's something inherently dangerous, we'll try to figure out a way to approach it. But we're there to calm fears. That's what we're there for.
I've seen one of your reports. They're amazing.
Stephanie's chiming in here. Actually, she says, "Why do I say it like that? It's because you told me the other day you were moving to Ohio, so you said something about you don't like the district you're in, and you needed to switch, and the only way to switch is to move." So
she's lying. She's coming to Florida.
No, Stephanie, like seriously, man, she is definitely one of the foundation's greatest assets, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but
she's one of my teams. Well, all my team members on Georgia Paranormal, everyone brings something unique and wonderful to the table, and that's what you want on a team.
Yeah,
I don't want to brag about the Southeast group, but just saying.
Yeah, I need an RD. Can I just rent her out maybe?
Well, I'm OCD. I'll be the first to admit it. I got to have my ducks in a row.
Yeah,
and Stephanie is great with that too, because she understands me and
I'm the opposite. Like, it kind of looks organized behind me on camera, but if you saw what was around me, you guys would be like, "Holy shit!" Now, I want to address this comment here real quick. So Cassie, I'm sorry. I don't know where you're at in Michigan, but you can private message me, Jeff Schlocker, on Facebook, and I'm curious as to how far you are from me. So let me know.
Cassie, not to plug the other group, but Ghost Education 101 on Facebook. We have some amazing presentations on paranormal investigating and how to do it the right way. Everything from paperwork, types of hauntings, profiling potential clients. All the videos are on there. If you go to that page and just start at the bottom and watch the videos, you can get a lot of really good education from a lot of really good people in the field.
Is this on your Facebook page, or where's
the Facebook page, Ghost Education 101? Heather and I started it back during the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Because we did it because all the Paracons and everything was getting canceled, and everybody stuck at home with a mask on their face. Oh my God, this is a great opportunity to give people real good information, and let's connect and communicate and commune together because we're all stuck at home.
Yep. Isn't it Ghost Ed 101?
Yes.
Ghost Ed 101.
Ghost Education 101, but
it's education?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was Ghost Ed.
And it's free. I mean, you're not going to get good free stuff very often. So,
and there's and honestly too, there's a lot of like if you go back and rewatch a lot of the Warren Files episodes, there's a lot to be learned. Each show is topical, and there's a lot to be learned by watching some of that stuff. But like yeah, if people have been doing it for 6 years and they really, really want to, learn how to hone in their skills and stuff, I mean, there's definitely things that you could look up through the foundation and elsewhere to learn how to do this.
And I did a Paranormal 101 presentation on Ghost Ed. What's the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator?
Oh,
There's a lot. There's a big
tons.
difference.
Yep. Yeah. My buddy always says that, like, a ghost hunter is, we go to the Mansfield prison. We go, the tour guide tells us John haunts cell 6, and, we go in there and we get smacked by John, and then we go have a steak and a beer on the way home. A paranormal investigation is, you've got probably 40 hours before you even step foot in the door.
And stacks of paperwork.
Yeah. Yep.
Legal documents, permission to investigate documents, permission to investigate off-site documents.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh yeah. Yep. Let's see. Stephanie says it's not Ghosted, it's Ghost Ed 101. So there she is. She keeps us in line, because if it wasn't for her, we'd all be a wreck probably. I'm just
But on the Warren,
no, Tammy too keeps us in line. She runs that tight ship with the. I get my weekly email.
website. The videos are categorized differently, so you got to kind of look around to get certain videos on there, because there's some really good ones on the Warren page.
Yep. So let me ask another question then, since we don't really have a whole lot in the comments, but so everybody feel free to ask questions in the comments. But and I'll start. We'll go around the box again here. So, if anybody had a dream piece of equipment that was invented, what would it be, and what would it detect and do? Tammy,
Okay.
Do we got it? If you want a second,
I have an answer. Okay, so I do have a ghost box. I do not have an Ovilus, but I'm telling you, I wish they could make one. Even mine, when you turn it to where it's not, you don't hear the reverberation, and you don't hear anything, and it's just supposed to be words. It is still not ultimately as clear as I would like it to be. So if someone could make one that actually had a better signal or something, to where it made it, because it's so rapidly flipping through channels, that sometimes you get clarity, but it's a half word, part of a word. And then you're left to, again, trying to determine, what am I hearing? What is this meant to be?
Mm-hmm.
I can show you a radio that once you hack it, it literally has none of that distortion. It's just whenever, it comes across the, a part of a channel sweep with noise, that's all you hear. There's no distortion at all.
Okay.
And that's what I use inside of my Geoport and stuff. So I don't have to have the noise cancellation.
Yeah, I don't want to guess. I don't want any question, any doubt. If it's really coming through, I want to be firm on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like you're still guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can show you the radios that I use.
Okay.
I think you guys are definitely going to have a conversation after the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, are we talking something realistic, or are we looking
I'm saying
dream fantasy equipment,
right? Yeah. What is something that you really dream of? What is a piece of equipment that's your dream?
Picture we have the laser grid. Okay, you put the laser grid up, and you get a shadow, or something that breaks the grid in front of it. I have the new one that I just got that had, I think was it the G2 or whatever that.
Yeah, from Ghost Stop. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, but I do like it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. But how about something that when it walks in front of it, it actually appears? We could actually
see the SLS, put that kind of component into that G2.
Right, like an actual apparition. Instead of something broke the grid and it was a shadow. Let me see it. Right. That would be the dream. I mean,
we also use the grids to pull your eye to something in case it moves, not just for shadow detection, but in case something in that room moves, that grid will help you see it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for equipment for me, I wish somebody would come up with an affordable infrasound detector.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Paranologies, he had one 100 years ago, and several years ago I said, could you just make me one? And that he's gone away.
Right.
But a professional infrasound detector is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So.
Yep.
And the bowl of water on the floor, you can. There's too many variables that could be, but.
Yep.
Because what infrasound does, everybody, it makes your eyeballs resonate.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of explanations of the paranormal in infrasound, and I agree with you. I would love that. That's my answer too. So Nate, what's yours? Although you're an inventor, so you can kind of.
Well, yeah, I'd probably go with like the multispectral, hyperspectral camera. Like you can buy professional ones, but for a little camera with 5 little lenses, it's like $5,000.
Wow.
So I mean, once I finish building that and get it programmed, it'll be my dream equipment if it works the way it's supposed to. But I mean, I don't know. As for other things, they're sort of in the process of being built, like sort of like how that grid detection works. I've been sort of creating something that works like
that. And as your manager, I'm going to ask you to be quiet now. I'm just kidding. But you need to make some money, brother.
With super specific like knock noise detection. So you put it in the middle of a room per se, and when it hears a noise, it'll have that grid, and wherever it hears the noise, it'll show it on the grid, so you're not guessing where the knock came from.
Yeah,
that's cool. On that.
We all want one.
Jeff, yes. Don't worry. I just registered that patent.
No, you didn't, liar. Erase it. I know people. I'm just saying.
I'm going to have to jump off of here for a call. So
yep. You told us that.
I've really enjoyed it.
Nope. Thanks for joining us, Philip. That was good.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
See everybody next time. Good night.
Thank you. Yeah. Good night. Yep. So yeah, crap. I had a thought there and it got broken. Oh no. Okay. So it was. So what do you guys think? Have you guys heard of those shadow detectors? And has anybody used one?
I think they're just like PIR like detectors, aren't they? Isn't that essentially all it is?
If assuming everybody knows what PIR is probably a big assumption. Could you explain that?
Oh, I mean, it's just, isn't it like technically
it
it's like IR?
And
it's like IR reflectiveness, essentially, I think.
It's just something I've heard of, and I don't know what they are, but I know.
I don't know.
We have these. You might have seen these Antique Tunes chest, and they are supposedly light sensitive shadow.
Okay.
We have not had this very long. They cost like $130. And looking at it, like this is something I literally could build. It's not. They're not that hard to build, and the parts probably are $20-$30 maybe.
Okay.
But
that's honestly like a $2 motion detector, and you buy the little white dome, and it goes over it.
Yeah. And so far we haven't had much response with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like any of those like motion lights, anything like that, that's all like PIR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to talk about one piece of equipment that it's funny because when I'm at a convention, and you've seen my setup at the conventions, at the libraries, whatever,
it's 60 feet long.
I got 3 6-foot tables filled, all that equipment and all this crazy stuff. The thing I get the most questions about is this guy.
Yeah, the little teddy bear. Yep.
This guy, this guy gets the most attention anytime.
Yeah. But is yours named Ed?
Yeah. What?
Ours is named Ed. Is yours named Ed?
No, ours is not named Ed. But this guy is interesting because a lot of people think it's just like a trigger object that you just stick on the floor and whatever. This thing actually has a pretty good amount of technology in it.
Yeah.
You know, it detects temperature changes, vibrations, I mean, touch. It randomly talks to try to get the spirits to interact with it. So you keep a recorder next to it. And, you know, and I always joke, I say, it's interesting, but when you put this on in like an abandoned prison at 2:00 in the morning, it's quite creepy.
Yeah.
I will say that. And you got to be careful because I don't normally use this like on a residential or something. I pulled it out one time because the person was saying that they constantly saw a little girl in their room. So I just wanted to try as a trigger. And, you know, these are the things you have to look for when somebody was asking about how to learn about things. These are the things you need to look for. I didn't pay attention. And I put it up on a top bunk bed, and this thing started going nuts. Burr, is it cold in here? Burr, did you make it colder? We look up and it was sitting under the air vent.
Oh, geez.
You know, so you got to be careful of those things.
You do.
Yep.
And I especially like how it says, I like cookies.
Yeah.
We always make fun of that because it's just, who says it that way?
Well, us being the Warren Foundation, I think what we need to do, we're dropping the ball here. We need to invent the Annabelle doll with that same technology in there and sell the crap out of those things.
I actually made one for a friend who now lives down in Florida out
Is
of
it Joe?
like the movie Annabelle, you know what I mean? The scary one.
Yep.
And I put I actually added aside from the like REM technology inside, I added proximity sensors and a few other things. So like when the proximity went off, it would like I recorded like its voice, like a creepy like little girl's voice off YouTube. So like, you know, it did a whole bunch of stuff, whatever I could shove inside it, basically.
Well,
man, that's cool.
It did detect something touching it in the prison, which kind of freaked us out.
Yeah.
Because there shouldn't be kids in the prison, so I don't know what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
This is good too. There's a police body cam.
Oh yeah.
They're great. I mean, they had this one especially. They have great quality, you know, video. In infrared, it's really, really good. I was impressed with them, and it's easy.
That's what I use instead of GoPros, and you can turn the IR on and off.
Yep,
it's not converted forever.
Yes.
So another question just popped in my head. What is one piece of equipment that you all would avoid? What is what's a complete just junk technology, a complete waste of equipment?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
waste of money.
Well, there's a lot that's a waste of money, but to me, there's anything is fun to experiment with, as long as you understand it and know that okay, this piece of equipment can produce a lot of false responses. So understand that you may get something good, but not everything that comes from it is real. So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of any device, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not one to use a Ouija board, you know.
Right.
A lot of people do. I know teams who actually use them on investigations. I wouldn't, you know. I have no problem with the Ouija board, but I wouldn't use it on an investigation. But you know, it's, to me, it's any equipment is good as long as you understand it and know that every little sound or blinking light or whatever that comes off of it isn't always something. Understand how it works.
Right.
Because like the K2 especially, I mean, those are so susceptible to, you know, cell phones and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and remote control, you know, buttons being pressed, and you know, and it's so for someone to just run around with the K2 and think that, oh, I've got an EMF meter. I mean, technically it is, but it's not. I like the EMF meters that I like to use are like the Mel meter, and ones that put out a number. I want to see, you know, I don't want to see lights. What does the green light mean? Is that 10? Is that 20? Is that, you know, who knows? It's a light. I want to see how many milligauss that is happening.
Right.
You know, like I said, that one case that we had where that girl was sleeping, you know, it was 30 milligauss by her pillow. So is my K2 going to read an orange, red? But what does red mean? But 30
Right.
milligauss, that's cancer causing. That's bad. Like that's
Right.
if you're sleeping for that for 8 hours a night, that is not healthy.
Yeah, I
And
have
you
the
need to know a
K2.
number.
I have the millimeter. I have
Yep.
the tri-field. You know.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, so I think we're, no one's really asking questions tonight, which is fine. But Nate, I want to give you a few minutes to talk about what you guys are doing this weekend and who's going to be there. And this is your chance to plug the event.
Yeah, my brain is half melted from doing stuff
I
this week.
can tell you're tired, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the Paracon this weekend, and Father Ken and Joe Frankie are coming down to speak. We also have Patty Negri and Richard Lael Lillard, known as the Gentleman Psychic, and it's gonna take place over the whole weekend, starting Friday at I forget exactly on Fridays. Later,
I
Friday's
think
like
it's
a setup
4.
day. Yeah, it's like 4 to
I think so.
9 or something.
We'll just
something
tell
like
people
that.
to get there at 4. With
Saturday's like the main day though. But Friday night we have like it's like a costume sort of party happening at Valcourt Brewery, and then on Saturday we have it's like a metal show at a bar here called the Monopole to sort of end the night. Also, aside from the speakers, we have a bunch of classes going on at the Gem Goddess here, which there's like brew making, and I guess Patty Negri is she came on to do a couple of classes also. Let's see, there's so much happening.
Because you guys are, it's okay. So most Paracons are held at one place, but yours is 3 days and 4 different venues, right?
Yep. So there's a lot of stuff to do. So I hope it goes smoothly. It should be a lot of fun if people come. There's not really much to do in this place, on a normal weekend. So I hope people take advantage of it.
Well, if nothing else, everybody gets to come see Joe Frankie. I mean, that's
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, I've probably got, I hope he's not watching because like, I don't want him to feel bad, but I probably have 50 or 60 hours of making videos for his presentation. It sounds stupid, but like I turned off a 45-minute video into 12 minutes for Amityville. But I had to, and I can't say this, but I had to delete something every time it was mentioned. So, and add pictures and videos and things like that into this. So, I mean, like that one, I probably have 35 hours in alone. I mean, but he's going to have a good presentation. And I'm telling you right now, for everybody listening that's in the area, the last couple minutes of his presentation alone is worth it because he has got the best video clip I've ever seen of anything paranormal in my life. It's creepy. Nate, definitely catch the end of his presentation and
I'll be there. I've been like pushing to give him more time and more time. I'm like, let's just give him 2 hours. You know what I mean? Let's give him 3 hours.
You'll watch this and you will be like, holy crap. It's the scariest paranormal video I've ever seen in my life. Like
wow.
It's Plattsburgh, New York.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plattsburgh, New York. Yep.
Way up in Canada.
If anybody is in that area, I have 2 free tickets that I'm trying to give to somebody because I have 2 tickets that I'm not going. So I wanted to see, I put it up on my page too. If anybody's in that area and needs tickets, I have 2 tickets to pass on to somebody.
Cool. Appreciate it. So Bill, what do you got going on? You're always busy and it's October and I know everybody's busy in October. So what do you got coming up?
I actually have a library show down in Miami. It's Coral Reef branch of Miami this Saturday, the 22nd. I believe as far as public confirmed, that's all right now for this year. For this month. But we did one last weekend out by me. But this one coming up on the 22nd in Miami.
Okay. Cool.
I'll have all the equipment there.
Yeah, all 60 feet of it. In your banners and your, So Tammy, do you have anything cool coming up? I know you guys have been busy lately. Like you guys have been out every weekend.
Out of town like every weekend. Yep. I actually do have something kind of big that I'm super nervous about, but it's going to be fine because it always works out. But October 29th, we will be doing first of all, we'll be doing a gallery reading in the basement of the Paramount building here in Oklahoma City. And we are selling tickets for that. And then we're following that up with a public investigation that people can actually come and investigate with our API team.
Oh, cool.
So
good deal.
It'll be very interesting.
Yep. I've already, actually we've had a toned down October this year. Usually we're crazy busy. I do a lot, but see, I haven't really been promoting the Boo Productions paranormal stuff because I've been so wrapped up in the Warren stuff that I haven't had time to really, my Boo stuff is sitting on a shelf. Like I've got 4 or 5 documentaries in the works and, this and that and the other thing. But, instead of doing that, I'm making Joe Frankie videos, which is, which is fine. I'm not saying that to like guilt him or anything. Cause I love that guy to death. I talk to him, a couple times a week usually. And that guy, it's like taking a college class every time you talk to him. You know what I mean? Even just the casual conversation. It's like, God damn, I learned so much talking to this man.
A little guilt on him is good though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely press it on him every chance.
He just told me he actually has one of Ed Warren's tape recorders.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I'm jealous.
He's got to use that on an investigation. That would be cool.
That would be cool. Yep. Actually, he should do an experiment and try to get a hold of Ed.
Yep. Yeah, that would. Ooh. Now we're talking. Let's write this down.
I mean, he says he's not sure, but like it, it could be like the recorder he used at Amityville, or
as your manager. Yeah, be Joe's manager now. Joe, that is absolutely the recorder that was used at the Amityville house.
Yeah.
You can't prove it, but you just know it.
Yeah.
So I
chances are he used it at one of their bigger cases.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. So let's run around the box one more time because we're running out of time here. We don't have to go till 10, but I do want to ask one final question. Where can people find each and every one of you? And let's start with Tammy.
I am in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Bible Belt country. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where you can find me.
I mean, what's your pages, your YouTube and all that stuff?
Yeah. So our team is Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just as that. And then I also have a page for my mediumship stuff. That's Tammy Christine Medium at Facebook. So
okay. All right, because you do a lot of
our tickets are available for our events that we're doing at hauntedeventsofOklahoma.com.
Okay. Yep, because you're a psychic and you do readings and things like that, correct?
I do.
Yep. So if anybody wants a reading, reach out to Tammy.
But I always downplay it. So
I don't, because I am, like I said before, I am Jeff the Green Swamp Medium, and I truly promote myself. I have innovative ways of tapping into the psychic realm. Mostly unused. I'm like Nate with psychics. Nate creates all this equipment. I come up with different psychic techniques. So Bill, what's your pages and your where can people find
well,
you?
For me personally on Facebook, it's Bill Slevin FL. On my team is PERSFL on Facebook, and the same for the website is PERSFL.com. We're either on every thing. We're either PERSFL or Paranormal Existence. Those are the two on. We have Instagram and everything.
You have YouTube?
No, not yet. I'm working on it. No, I don't. It's there, and I have a few things that I haven't had the time.
Yeah, I hear you. It takes, like I said, I run I do the Warren Patreon page, and I've gotten a lot of the YouTube page too. And it takes so much freaking time to run a page or two. Like it really does, and have it be entertaining and effective and all that stuff.
If we weren't all nonprofit.
Yes, exactly.
If I could quit my day job and
Yeah,
just
no,
do that, I would.
no doubt. I'm tired of crawling on my
Exactly.
hands and knees doing floors and doing drywall and all this stuff. So Nate, where can we find you at? And really, you and I, like, you really need to set something up where you can sell your ideas and have a repair shop or something like that, because you have gifts and abilities that people don't have, and people will pay to.
Yeah, I
have that
mean,
done.
I've renamed my company 10 different times now, but you can on Facebook my name is NJ Banker, but also I work with Frankie Frank and Jenna Perry, who are both now part of the Warren Foundation. And our group is House of Anubis Paranormal. Really, we have a Facebook page. We don't have any YouTube page set up yet or anything like that. So everything's through Facebook right now.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to reach me, Facebook is definitely the best way to go right now.
Yep. So it's NJ Banker at Facebook.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, because I mean, you definitely have a unique set of skills that a lot of paranormal people would take advantage of, I think. And like I said too, you're cool because I can come to you with an idea of something I want, and you can create that, and you're way more affordable than a lot of the other options.
Yeah,
but don't keep it that way forever. I mean,
I feel bad charging people for things that I don't mind doing.
Yeah.
It's
you and I got to talk, because I felt the same way, and it's you gotta, you have a skill set and people want to pay you for it. So
you gotta have to edit this video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work out a deal with them. I'll build you a website, and then we'll work out some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone who needs anything repaired.
So you get
fixed.
Nate and Stephanie. That's some BS there.
He's on the East Coast, so you're Oh, I want to say one more thing. So I am based out of Florida. We're in South Florida. We cover all of Florida, but I also just literally a few days ago opened up a branch of the team in over by Nebraska in Omaha. I have a guy and a husband and wife that are just fantastic. They'll be signing up for the foundation too. They're just amazing. They've worked with a case that I had out there that I needed help with, and they are great. So they decided to leave their team a little while ago. I talked to them, and they're now running a branch of my team out in Omaha.
Cool. Stay tuned next week as Tammy and Bill fight for territory. I'm just kidding. No, there's plenty of ghosts out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So, well, I think, like I said, I don't think we have to drag it out till 10 unless anybody has anything else to say. I think we should probably wrap it up. We all good? Everybody's.
Don't use phone apps.
Yes. I love it. Yep, I agree. Yeah, I actually did. We did a class at a local college, and I had an hour to speak for part of this class, and that was the big topic that I spoke on was tech and like the phone apps and stuff. So I did a lot of research, and there's components that they can manipulate to kind of simulate what you're going for, but they don't actually do it.
You can use your recorder.
Right. They can tweak your phone to make it
about
look like it's they can tweak your phone to make it look like a thermal cam, but it's just not.
It's not. It doesn't. I tell people all the time. It doesn't have the technology.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's just not there. Yeah. Not yet anyway.
At my lectures now, I have about. It depends on how long it goes, but I have a whole section where I talk about orbs, orbs and lens flares, and I lose some people sometimes, but for the most part, it was good. Our show last week at the library went 2.5 hours.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, they let us have time. They know us now. We can't do 45 minutes like a convention.
We did I'm involved with a friend of mine's team here in Toledo. It's Toledo, Ohio Ghost Hunter Society. And so everything they do, I go with them and help and, and part of it. Like I don't know why I'm not a member of their team, but I think he hates me. But anyway, we did a marathon one night, or actually they did it twice. I was involved with them once, but it was 5 presentations in one night. It was stupid. Because they would have a group come in, listen to the presentation, then they'd go off on the tour. Then the next group came in. Like it was, 2-3 minutes in between. Like it was just dumb.
Yeah.
But it was, there's a lot of people that got, a basic, ghost hunting presentation, a real quick one. So
at the conventions, we'll break it up, because when I'm there for the weekend, we'll break it up and we'll do a public, a residential, a question and answer. We try to break them up, but at a live, and you only get 45 minutes. I mean, I could talk about this remote for 45 minutes. Yeah, but at the libraries, they know us now, and they say it's 3 to 4, but they close at 6. So as long as we're out by 6, and they're pretty good on it. The people ask a lot of questions, and they, we'll stay there as long as we can.
Yeah. Yep. Paranormal is, I mean, it's not what it used to be. It used to be you were weird if you liked it, were involved with it. Now it's kind of, people, oh, really? You do that?
Right now.
What's that?
It's trending right now.
Yes. Yep.
I always used to say back when I started, I don't even know, 80 something, it was like the people that thought they were haunted were afraid to tell anybody because they'd be locked up. And we were locked up in a deeper room down in the basement for thinking that we can help you. It was very different back then.
And actually, to be honest with you, tying it back to the Warren Foundation, Ed and Lorraine really had a lot to do with normalizing it. I mean, I know a lot of people ripped on them, but a lot of people also listened to them and paid attention. Like, hey, I have these experiences, so these people are, they're onto something. So,
right.
I mean, the Warrens really did a great deal for normalizing the paranormal discussion.
Yeah, and I say that people like the TV shows. People don't like the TV shows. I mean, I like them. I like them as long as you can understand their entertainment. You know, but the difference is the TV. They're good and bad for us. They brought a lot of this out into the forefront to where everybody is more accepting of it. But they've taught them a lot of stuff that is so not true that then we have to try to explain to the client, well, no, this is not true. And they're like, but Zach said it, or something. It's hard to compete with them because they look at them like they're experts that are on the TV show,
And it's just, Zach brought thousands and thousands of dollars of film equipment and camera crew, so that place he's at better freaking be haunted.
And they're
it better have it on camera.
And their lockdown is a little different than like when we go and do a lockdown.
Their lockdown is with, there's 3 of us or 4 of us in here, and there's also 7 or 8 film crew people,
Right.
So, all right, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you guys for being on. Hopefully Heather's back on next time. If not, I will ruin the links and all that other stuff again next week, I promise, or in 2 weeks from now. I'm not sure what the topic is. I probably should have looked, but again, thanks everybody for joining, and we're going to end this right now.
Good night.
The ending is always weird for me. It's always weird.